They found the dress first, draped like a forgotten whisper across the old dock. Red silk soaked in dew, glowing like a wound against the grey morning fog. Her shoes were there too, neatly placed. No purse, no phone, just absence curated. He called her name once, then again, each shout swallowed by the trees. The water was silent, the air still. It looked like tragedy, but it wasn't. It was design. Because she was watching, barefoot, hidden, 30 yards back in the trees. Her breath steady, her heartbeat slow. He thought she drowned. And that was the point. He stood for hours, soaked to the skin, her shoe dangling from his fingers. His face was blank, shock glazed over with disbelief. No signs of a struggle. No note. No calls answered. Just the shoe. And the water. Police arrived, asked questions, drew lines in the mud with measured boots. He answered quietly, too calmly. The guilt hadn't set in yet, only fear. She had vanished completely, as if the lake had swallowed her whole. But 20 miles away, in an abandoned house with boarded windows and a cracked mirror, she watched the live news feed on silent. And she smiled. The cabin creaked with every shift of wind. The wallpaper peeled like sunburned skin. She crouched by the window, watching her phone light up again. His number. Again. No sound. Just the vibration against rotting wood. Her name was all over the news now. Missing. Presumed drowned. But she knew better. She watched him lie to the officers. Watched him cry at the cameras. But alone. He was different. Tired. Edgy. Pacing. He hadn't told them everything, and that was what she wanted to see. Guilt would bloom slowly. And when it did, she'd be ready. For now, she stayed gone. He didn't sleep. Not really. Just stared at the screen, her face looped again and again, caught mid-laugh in the last photo they had together. Outside, police tape flapped against the wind, half torn. Inside, the whiskey was gone. The silence was thicker than grief. He'd told them she went for a walk. Told them she liked the lake. Left out the fight. The shouting. The slammed door. He didn't know where she was now. Only what he thought he saw. But doubt had started dripping through the cracks. And doubt, she knew, would do far more damage than truth. The attic floor groaned beneath her as she turned another page. A notebook, old, full of sketches, crossed out names, ideas. Notes about him. About the way he lied when nervous. About the drawer where he kept the second phone. Yes, she had prepared for this. Months of planning. Escape routes. Unsent texts. A second SIM card. And now it was working. The news anchors called her artistic, private. He called her 20 times that day. Every call went to voicemail. She didn't need to hear his voice. She needed to watch his choices. What guilt turned him into? That was her proof. She watched him across the lot, hoodie up, face turned. He was in the car again, parked near the edge of the gas station, pacing and yelling into his phone. Not the police. Someone else. His voice muffled by glass, his body language loud. He was unraveling. Good. That was the idea. She jotted a note in her coat pocket. Day 5. Angry, scared, blaming others now. He hadn't cried since the second night. Now it was pure panic. She sipped stale coffee and watched him slam the door shut. Her red dress was gone. But she was still writing the story. He tore through the drawers like guilt could be undone with answers. And then he found it, the second phone, buried beneath socks and old receipts. Her backup. He stared at it, hands shaking. Locked. No charger. No clue how long it had been there. He sat on the bed, the silence howling louder than the wind outside. Had she left it behind? Or planted it? Had she drowned? Or disappeared? His breathing grew uneven. He wasn't sure anymore if he was the victim or the subject. And in that fracture, her plan bloomed, a slow, perfect unraveling. The rain had returned, soft at first, then cruel. She didn't flinch, just adjusted the binoculars and watched the flickering light of the cabin. He was still up, still pacing, still spiraling. She jotted another note in the back of her hand. It doesn't leave house. Paranoia growing. Her hands were cold, her coat soaked, but her focus was surgical. Every step he took deeper into confusion. She took one further from who she used to be. This wasn't revenge. Not exactly. It was excavation. Peeling back layers to see what guilt would reveal, once it had nowhere left to hide. She played the message only once. It was short. Raspy? Broken. You know what you did. Then silence. Timestamp, 3:14 a.m. She didn't save it. Didn't need to. His voice trembled under the weight of implication. It wasn't a confession, but it was something close. Something cracked. She held the flip phone like a relic. A trigger. One more breadcrumb to drop when she was ready. She smiled, lips dry, heart steady. He thought she drowned. Now he was drowning in himself. And she was just getting started. The walls had become a crime scene of his own making. Photos, receipts, news articles, all pinned in manic lines with red string connecting dots that meant nothing. He whispered to himself, circled back to the same thought again and again. Maybe she's alive. Maybe she's watching. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Paranoia had replaced grief. He scanned the woods from the window, every rustle a threat, every silence too loud. If it was a game, he didn't know the rules. If it was punishment, it was working. And in his mind, her red dress was always in the trees. She returned to the house like a ghost clocking in for a shift. The rain had soaked through her boots. Her hands were shaking, but not from cold. From timing. She placed the photo, torn, just the two of them, on the windowsill. Let the wind curl the edge. It would look like something lost. Or planted. That was the art of it. Letting truth and fiction braid into one question no one could untangle. She didn't want him to confess. She wanted him to unravel, frame by frame. And this photo? Just another pull of the thread. He woke with a start. No sound. Just a feeling. The cabin door, wide open. The storm had passed, but the floor was wet. Muddy prints tracked across the wood, stopping short in the hallway. At the center of the prints, a single red thread looped like a question mark. His mouth dried. He searched the rooms, every drawer, every closet. Nothing. No one. But something had changed. She'd been here. Or someone had. He sat on the floor, chest heaving, heart thudding like footsteps. The house wasn't haunted. He was. She wrote the letter slowly, carefully, like each word needed to wound with precision. Not rage, revelation. She told him everything he'd refused to hear in life. The silence he dismissed, the affairs he buried, the guilt he painted over with promises. She didn't name herself. Just initials. Just truths. A goodbye dressed as a mirror. The fire crackled behind her. Shadows danced at her feet. When she finished, she folded it once, placed it in an envelope, and left it on the mantel of the abandoned house, the place she'd been reborn. No return address. Just consequence. He found it 2 days later. No stamp. No sender. Just his name written in a hand he once knew better than his own. He sat on the dock, where the red dress was last seen. The mist curled around his ankles. He read it 3 times. The words didn't threaten, they dissected. Every paragraph peeled something off his skin. She hadn't died. She'd left. And she'd watched what he became when the mirror shattered. He looked at the water, half hoping she might surface. But she was never in the lake. She'd always been in the aftermath. The diner was nearly empty. No one noticed her until she left the clipping on the counter, her missing poster, creased and damp. The cook picked it up, confused. She was already gone. Sunglasses on, away. Steps light. She didn't need to see the look on his face when he realized who she was. Didn't need recognition or applause. This was never about making headlines. It was about becoming one, and then disappearing again. She walked to her car, turned the key, and drove into the morning fog. Alive, warm, alone, and finally, in control of her own ending. He didn't burn the letter. He tried, held it above the flame, watched the edges curl. But at the last second he dropped it to the floor, let the ashes settle around it like regret. The cabin was silent now. No police, no friends, no cameras, just the sound of wind through warped window frames and the hum of a phone that hadn't rung in days. He whispered her name once, then again, but she was never coming back. Not as a woman, not as a ghost. He wasn't being haunted. He was being left behind. And that was worse. She walked where no one knew her name. A beach town with no clocks, just tide and sky. Her red dress moved like flame in the ocean wind, bold, but untraceable. She didn't check her phone anymore. Didn't flinch when people stared. She had been the missing, the accused, the watched. Now she was simply gone. Not in a tragic way, in a deliberate one. The kind that only a woman with time, pain, and strategy could orchestrate. She didn't need revenge. She needed distance. And that she finally had. Each wave that erased her footprints felt like forgiveness from herself. Back in the cabin, the attic sat untouched. Cobwebs sagged from beams, and the moonlight angled just right through the dirty glass. For a moment, just a moment, if you looked at the window, you'd swear you saw her. The red dress, a blur, a shape. But when the light shifted, it was gone. No ghost, no woman. Just the memory of her, threaded into wood grain, shadows, and silence. She wasn't buried. She wasn't missing. She had rewritten